Thank you for stopping by to listen to the Not So Creative podcast. This is E, and brief little kind of a session to discuss a couple little things that I was watching recently and things that I say that I will say that do affect me. And I think it's an important subject to talk about because this is something that's very big out in the world and something that should be discussed. And it's important. And I go through my experiences and hopefully, my voice in some way gets out there and helps others out. So again, this is the Not So Creative podcast. This is E. And what do I talk about today? And first of all, anybody who listens to the podcast, please pass the word on. I greatly appreciate it. It's going to be as an authentic podcast that I could think about. I've kind of already touched upon briefly what I plan on doing between just different types of variety of content. And that's basically it. So I'm just going to move into the subject and just discuss mental health. Mental health is such an important thing. To me, it's the circuitry of our bodies, our minds. And when it comes to that, it's so important because there's seasons that happen throughout the year. There's moments that happen. There's so much that I'm sure I won't even cover, not even half of it, not even maybe probably a quarter. But I'm not here to talk about percentages. I'm here to talk about just how it affects. So I saw something in the news the other day, and I thought it was interesting. And I said, you know what? Let me just take a couple of notes down and discuss it, and hopefully it helps others out. And if I'm all over the place, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to go in order because for me, I'm the type that has something in his mind, and when it's there, I need to say it. If I don't, I may forget, or I just go into something else because I thought of something else on top of that and stacked it on top of that, if that makes any sense. So first, when it comes to what I saw in this news article is there's something called winter blues. So we're now in January. So in January, there's something called winter blues. And they were separating it versus talking about differences between winter blues, which, I think I've had basically a portion of both. It's possible. Because when I go over it, I'll say yes, to myself. And then hopefully others who are out there maybe can understand it maybe a little bit more. And so there's winter blues, and then there's seasonal affective disorder. So winter blues falls under these situations. Feeling of sadness, doesn't interfere with your daily life. You still feel sad, but you can still continue doing your daily activities. And then percentages, it says it affects about 10 to 20% of adults. I don't know if they've done that survey with younger people. But it's just an adult percentage. And then the other one, it's limited to the winter months. This is my take on this. And again, a lot of things I say are my opinion. I understand the winter blues. Winter blues, if you think about, let's say you have the sun goes down a lot faster. It's not as bright in the day normally, as far as long as it would be in the spring and summer months We like to go out. We like to see things. Sun goes down 7, 8 o'clock. I'm in the East Coast in the US. So that's that. I think already there that contributes to a certain degree, because it's mentioning winter months. It doesn't talk about fall months. I don't know if that was something that was looked into at that part, but I would think that that's something. I mean, usually you step out, it's like, oh wow, 4:30, it's already dark outside. 5 o'clock. It's getting better because as each day goes on and the sun goes down a little later. So, all right, so now we're going to move on to seasonal affective disorder. So these are ones that for me, like I've had the winter blues. I know I've had the seasonal affective disorder. And then there's no shame in it. There's no shame in it. There's no shame in discussing it. You know, I'd rather be honest with what I do through this platform versus just making it up just to talk about something. You know, so seasonal affective disorder, these are the situations that fall under that. There's a form of depression. So right there, feeling of sadness versus a feeling of depression, there's a connection, but it goes a lot deeper when there's depressed feelings. Second one is the feeling of helplessness. Like, you know, it's like situations are so tough that you don't know what to do. You know, you feel like the world's on you, on your chest. You feel the weight on your chest that sometimes can even develop, let's say, like anxiety attacks and so on and so forth. And by the way, the background sound, I'm sorry, that's a form of ASMR because that's the heat. So I apologize about the background sounds. If you hear anything else, you know, again, I apologize up front. That's just my surroundings. So then the other one is it interferes with daily life. I'll go into the next one shortly. Interfering with daily life, you can't get off of bed. You can't get off of bed. And if you do get off of bed, you don't have the mind to be able to do your daily stuff. And that could be anything. You know, I think most about is work. If it interferes with work, then you're definitely, you know, under a depressed state. Because your mind, I don't want to say, I don't know how to say it, but an individual, let's say like when it happens to me, I feel that my mind overpowers my, you know, a lot of the thoughts and things that I can do. Like I'm not able to handle, you know, something else on top of where I'm feeling already. And that's tough because that's basically, it's like the car is breaking down. Like the car is, you know, the battery's done. You're stalled. That's, you know, my interpretation of interfering with the daily life. You can't start your car. The battery's not on. You know, the battery's gone. It's worn out. Doesn't, you know, so and that's tough. You know, whether, and that's again, I just using that as an example. Could be work. Maybe you like to cook. You can't cook. Maybe you want to do exercise. Maybe you normally go to the gym. You don't have the energy to go to the gym because you feel that's what we're feeling. And the tough part is these are all feelings. Sometimes we can control them. Other times it's almost like, you know, they're loose and we're trying to catch it, but it's too fast. Almost like the chicken in the Rocky movie when Rocky's chasing the chicken. The chicken's so fast, finally catches it. To me, it's one of those. And I'll just go into the fourth one. And it says it may require clinical intervention, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with having professional give you medication to to help out, because when you explain the situation, body language can tell, a lot of the things that are going on of what's happening. And I believe me, like I say, that has happened to me. It's happened to me. And one of the things that they mentioned also, holidays are tough. Holidays can be tough. Not every holiday is a great one for every single person. Unfortunately, it's just how things are. And, I'll talk about shortly about the things that may have contributed to helping me out a little bit. I do fall. Eventually, I get back up. Is it easy? Absolutely not. It's probably one of the most challenging things out there. I always think that can't take action without thinking of it, right? Your mind tells you whether you think about it. Nobody hears what you're thinking, right? Your thoughts. You can't just grab something and then not think about it. We thought we sent a signal basically to ourselves and says, I'm going to grab that. It's like, I'm going to grab that cup. Oh, that soda looks good. I'm going to grab it. My body doesn't say, that soda looks great, grab it, and then think about it later. So for anybody who goes through it, I usually say I'm sorry about it, because I understand, and I hope that my experiences help out in some way. And it's something that's very tough. The only thing I could say is don't give up. It's not easy. Believe me, it's not easy. I'll give you a little bit of my situation, and how that can contribute to these situations. So over the holidays, let's say this past, I didn't spend it with family because my family's mostly overseas. So that already is a weight, because my thoughts are, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. So in certain aspects, I feel that helplessness, because I have that doubt. When will this change? Now, of course, I'm asking myself the question. Now, there's many times circumstances that none of us know about, that we keep to ourselves, or maybe some of the closest ones to us may know, or we just don't want to say it because we just don't want to be judged, right? So that's that. New Year's. My imagination of New Year's is, you have the person that you want to be with, or you have the surrounding people that you really want to spend your time with. Maybe host something, do something with family. Now, for me, that life's changed, because it's no longer that way. So it's not an easy thing to be able to handle, because, like I said before on a prior, I don't look at as the new year as, preparing. My mindset doesn't think of it, because what I know is about to happen and what I'm going to go through. And after the fact, many times the downturn, the decline that I take shortly after that. Now, many times it is a seasonal thing, because you think about it, biggest holidays are November, December. What do? We hang out. Now, depending on the situations also, not every situation's a happy one, right? Many times we have pictures of, couples and individuals, and they're taking selfies and saying all these great things on social media. and then you see things fall apart. So, that always, not having or having, let's say, family always around you doesn't always mean it's a happy place. So this is basically one of those situations where there's nobody exempt from this. The only way that you're exempt is that your mind is in a place at a level so high that your feelings are very strong to the point that you won't let it decline to go down to this. Now, of course, doesn't always work for everybody because there's situations that are out of control. And I don't mean like out of control as far as, crazy. I mean out of control beyond control of the person. Which is a good reason why this subject is so big now. I can't remember 10, 15 years ago anybody talking about this. I would say 10 because I've gone through my episodes, of depression, seasonal, whatever it is, circumstances. So, I just thought it was so interesting that I want to do a podcast on this particular situation. And I'm probably going to do a whole bunch of them, and some of them may sound repetitive. And maybe one day I'll maybe add a guest that maybe has gone through it and hope that their perspective, their experiences helps out others out there when the show is listened to. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, and I'm sorry if I forget. I think I did, but it affects 5% of adults. That's still a large percentage, in my opinion. We're talking about millions and millions and millions of people. Now, I don't know if it was just in the U.S., because I'm sure it's a lot bigger than just 5% if we're talking about a worldwide situation. I don't think I saw the official breakdown. So, going back, winter blues, feeling of sadness, doesn't interfere with daily life, affects 10 to 20% of adults, limited to the winter months. Seasonal affective disorder, it's a little bit, that's the next level. Because if you feel sad and you're able to work through it, then that's you're tipping, that seesaw is going in your favor now. That scale is going in your momentum because you're able to still do daily activities. And again, to a certain degree, these are limited to the winter months. I believe that they connected the two. And then the seasonal affective disorder again, which I can really relate to. I have gone through it already. And I have no shame in saying it. I think it takes a strong person to admit it and not worry what others think, because that shows a human side and at least an ability to say things that are important, that help out. And this is where this platform is so important, because it can go out to anybody out there. Anybody can listen to it. And hopefully in some way it helps out and contributes to some type of positive outcome. Well, that's income too. That's a good thing. No jokes aside. So yeah, it's a form of depression, feelings of helplessness, interferes with daily life. I can relate to all those three in a heavy, heavy way. And then requires clinical intervention, which is basically, you seeing a doctor, therapist, getting medication for it to help out, to tip the scales a little bit, to have things go in your favor. Because again, that helplessness, that depression is one thing. The helplessness, it's just, it's like I'm just trying to think, you're stacking plates, one plate on top of another, and it gets heavier to the point that you can't function. That's tough. Like I said, it's something, and then In the article, they mentioned about certain things that you can do that help out. Vitamin D, of course, is a good thing because sunlight, natural vitamin D. If you don't go out or you can't because of the situation, whatever it is, then you can do supplements of vitamin D. That was one of the things that they mentioned. Now, I'm sure there's a certain percentage we can look into that. There was another one, which is magnesium, was another one. I'm a big believer that food contributes to how we end up feeling many times. I'll say this much. I haven't had a burger in over nearly 2 years. And I imagine the day I go out, and of course, I'm going to have an extremely beautiful woman there with me. Probably the best person I'll enjoy my time with. I'll probably eat that burger because we probably have a burger date. And I'm sure as good as it is, I'm going to feel as if I can't move. Because at one, I haven't had so much too. It's depending on, it's not the beef, it's usually the other ingredients, the bread. It's like the foods that make you feel heavy. You know, what they call the itis, because, it's like, you feel like a tank hit you and you can't move. Now it's like, oh, I want to go to sleep now. So there's foods that help out that are much better. Now, I know that I believe in one of them, I think oatmeal was on there. Now, oatmeal is a good thing because it fills you up and so on and so forth. And it curbs hunger. But it's not curbing the hunger, it's just eating healthier. And I believe that many times the food that we eat can also do that. Now, of course, depending where our mind is at. Because we could still be very, very sad and eat good. And also, again, feeling depressed as well. I'm connecting the two. So just in case I'm just saying in general at this point. So vitamin D, of course, is sun. Foods we eat helps out. I think the most important one of them, well, they're all, I'm not going to say the most important one. They all contribute. Whatever you can do that helps you out, choose those. Whether it's the food you eat, whether you do the walk, take vitamin D, supplement vitamin D, you can get from a doctor, you can go to a health food store. I believe there's a certain amount of milligrams you can do daily that can help out if you don't get it naturally. And then the other one is movement. So basically movement, of course, we know that could be walking, which basically you can get the vitamin D and move. And then, of course, that releases serotonin. Your body, your mind is doing work. It's moving. At the same time, it's a distraction. It's a distraction from the other things because now you're focused on what you're doing at that moment. Your mind will many times may flip back and say you're feeling sad. You're not doing good. This is going to work, but you're going to go back to this. And that's when it's tough. So the movement helps out. I say with movement, intense workouts help out. Sometimes the walk is good. Believe me, when you do a workout where you put the effort, you're sweating, whether it's 10, 15 minutes, there's workouts now that have the HIIT workouts, small amount of rest in between, and you break and sweat. I will guarantee that, well, most of us, I will guarantee that there's no way that you're going to eat anything that's going to mess it up after that effort you put into it. You're going to find a way to get something that's going to help out. So, that. I believe fruits are also good. I mean, this is, again, I'm not trying to change this to a whole diet thing. I just believe, that's just me. I believe, my opinion, I'm a big believer that food also contributes. I think that many times lack of food based on the situation doesn't help out. Hey, we may lose weight. We may, feel great later. I've seen this firsthand. The body changes and rapid loss. Sometimes it's very difficult to accept once we see what the results are. Great on the scale, but then, we have things that we want to fix now. So I just say be careful with that. Eat enough. If you're doing a calorie deficit diet, or high protein diet, do a high protein diet. It helps. Good carbs, fruits, depending which carbs. There's a list. You can look them up online, good carbs, and it'll help out. The key thing is if you're doing one of those, then maybe do a high protein, so on and so forth. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. I just believe, again, what's worked for me can work for some out there. Doesn't mean it's everyone. But I'm a big believer that when we go through depression, sadness, we do either sometimes, again, this is not for everyone, sometimes we lose appetite, and other times we're so stressed that we just eat and then eat again and eat again. Because we don't know what we want to do. We don't know. We're trying to distract ourselves from the feeling that we have that we do things. Sometimes there's selfish things. It doesn't even have to be eating. It could be crazy, I won't say crazy, but it could be other things to basically take your mind off of it. And sometimes it goes to extremes. I'm a big believer that eating right helps the mind, helps the body, helps recuperate. If you do workouts, I always say eat protein because that's going to help out with recovery. If you don't have enough proteins in a day, supplement them with a whey protein shake or whatever shake you do. There's vegan ones, soy, there's all types. And you can do it water, whatever. Again, I'm not trying to get off track. I'm just a big believer in that. I'm in my 40s now, and I'm about to go down to a weight from nearly 10 years ago. There was a moment that I didn't feel that way. But there's something there. Even though I'm going through all these things, the depression, the feelings of helplessness, there's something in my mind that says I have to fight. I have unfinished business. My job's not done. Like I want to be happy. So, when that comes into my mind, it's fighting, it's battling, it's fighting, and honestly, it's against an army. And it's a big army. It's a big ass army. It's tough for one to do it. Little by little, you start getting people from, if you watch like the movies, people from the village, they come to help out. They understand the cause. They understand the reason that you're trying to fight. And then that helps out in the battle. I'll say a battle. I don't want to go as far as a war, but many times it feels like that way because it comes and goes. And like I said, it takes a very strong individual to bounce back constantly from those feelings because it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And, so I've been eating better. It helps out. In a way, it's almost, I would call it the not so perfect storm. Because I have those feelings of depression. I have those feelings of helplessness because I do things all by myself, all on my own. I may have to reach out sometimes to others, but not all my, circles. The best friends are the smallest circles because you already know who you can count on. There's no special interest in those. The ones who check up on you, the ones say, hey, haven't seen you in a while. Hey, everything all right? Everything cool? If you need me, I got you. And that's important, because I'm trying to just go into now probably the tools that you need to go over these types of situations. You need the right friends, the right family. Sometimes family's not the best, because family can be very judgmental sometimes. You'd say something to them and the first thing that'll come out of their mouths will be something negative. First thing that they'll think about will be negative, and they'll explain it to you. And you don't need that. When it comes to these situations, winter blues, seasonal affective disorder, depression, mental illness, all those things, you want to have someone that one understands, that very important, that understands. Not always is sorry. Not always, that sucks. Of course it sucks, because none of us want to feel that way. So you want someone that's going to say, hey, you need to talk. Let me know. Someone's going to give you amazing advice. And I believe in that part, the positivity is the most important thing in helping someone out. If you're about to fall into the quicksand, I want to get that belt. I'm going to, strap it on my wrist, and I'm going to throw it at you. And I want you to catch it. You're sinking. I want to pull you out. Same way that I want to be pulled out when I'm going through that quicksand. It's not easy. Quicksand, you're done. So, to go back, that's why I felt that it was so important to do this, because this is my avenue to communicate and explain, how it is. The pressures could be work, could be personal. Sometimes work that we think we enjoy gets on top of us, and then adds on to it too. Doesn't mean that there's a problem with work. It's just a feeling that we have it because we have other personal things that are going on beyond that. Could be beyond it too. Like I said, the people around you are the most important things, most important people, because you will know who's really there for you. And sometimes, yes, we want to shut down. And I get it. Shutting down is understandable because you can reset. At the same time, though, you need to have that cement wall, that one that is not going to judge you, the one that that's going to support you. That's what you need. I'm grateful that I have 2, 3. I would say 2. I'll leave family out because family, again, can be a little harsh sometimes. I'm at that point. If I hear anything bad from family, when I say something, hey, I'm feeling this way because of this. And then I hear, I told you so. You see? No, I don't want to hear that. You're out. I'll talk to you. If you want me to vent, so on and so forth. But don't always think negatively of something when we're already going through something heavy and you didn't even know it. So that's, to me, is so important. There's ways to bounce back. Like I say, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. It takes courage. It takes having no fear. It takes thinking and imagining the things that you want to have and be able to stay on the course. And sometimes, that course gets very difficult. That road gets very bumpy. That when we fall off the road, we don't know what to do. We get frustrated, and then we go back again. We fall all the way down back to that depression, that feeling of sadness, that feeling of helplessness. I just gave it my shot. I was trying. I've been doing it all. I'm trying my best. And this happened. I also believe that reading books of self-improvement are very good. I am not a book reader, but there's one book that did help me out. And it was not The Secret. And I love that book. It's by Rhonda Byrne. It's called The Power. I'm not here to advertise. I'm saying what helped me out. And it was all about one thing. And it was, to me, The Power was about one thing and one thing only. And it was about love. And that was it. You find that. These things will go. And for the longest time, I feel I've worked hard at that. And I have had my roads where things have fallen apart. And it takes a moment and I bounce back up because I know what I want. I know what I need at this point. If you love everything you do, everything, when you wake up, when you go to sleep, and you imagine something amazing, you imagine, I can't wait to do this. I'm looking forward to this. You know what? If that happens, I'm still going to be okay because I'm still breathing. I'm still alive. You're winning at that point. Let the stuff come. It's almost like, that the boxer, great boxer who's as confident as they can be, hasn't lost ever. And there's not even one mindset of thinking about losing at all. That helps out. It's having that motivation, being inspired. And that's what I try and do when I fight these things. I do the workouts. I eat better. I try to surround myself around people. And if I don't have those people, sometimes it's good to reach out to someone that's not even connected at all. Sometimes that may be the best person. There's hotlines, there's phone numbers you can call. There's a lot of things. And all those things help out. So, there's not much more because I can keep on going on about this for who knows how long. I just hope that this little episode that I'm doing here helped in some way and it helped someone out there. I may listen to it later on saying, you know what? Those are the moments I need to hear when this worked out for me. Not to perfection, but I know the things that have worked and the things I try to reset on. And when I go to sleep, I try to think of the beautiful things, the goals, the person that I want to be with, the partner I want to have in my life, the surrounding people around that, the place I want to have, the house. Whatever I imagine, I want to go on vacation. I want to be able to do these things. I want to, have that feeling. I know that feeling is not a distraction because once you meet someone that's special, as I say, the surrounding around you is very important. A lot of those things that happen, that form of helplessness, of feeling alone, of doing things on your own, that is too much, slowly goes away because you have one that will be there for you. And not everybody sticks around. Some just say, okay, this is enough. I can't do this no more. Gotta go. And that happens. And it's a tough one. The ones that stay, the consistent ones, the ones that look out, are the ones you really want to be around. Those are the ones you want to appreciate. Those are the ones to be grateful for. Those are the ones that are going to take you to that next level. In addition to yourself being the one that can take yourself to that next level, because you can get all the help at the end. Whether you go to sleep with someone, whether you go to sleep alone, what we think, how we wake up is really going to determine how the day's going to go, how we're going to feel. And there's going to be bumps in the road. Start moving. Whatever you can do to try your best. Write things down. Write goals down. Write things you want to have. My goals I have, and there's one particular goal that I have, and that's the main one. Because I'm a big believer that once I get to that, all those other small things, vacations, dates, so on and so forth, they're automatic. They're going to fall into place. They're going to happen. It's just, for me, the biggest thing that's going to happen for me is the surrounding. That surrounding that one person, because it only takes one person to make the difference. So, from my goals, that's what I have. My goals is that, my goals is thinking having a nice big apartment or a house, fight for the things that I felt that I had lost, due to circumstances. That brought back a lot of these feelings. That didn't feel so great, that I wasn't, such a great person. But deep down inside, it was like, no, you're a good person. It's just something triggered. Someone's thoughts made you think otherwise. But that was never the case. And even when you have doubt, when you feel that you did something and you're not doing something so great, think you're doing great. You're trying. Like I said, the bumps in the road are going to be there. It's just how you do it after. What you do after that's the road that you're going to pave after that. And I keep on working at it. I said, I'm not perfect. I talk about my experiences. I fall just as much as everybody else does. I go through it. Like I said, I'm going through these things right now. And it's not easy. There's moments I wish I wish this was my situation. So what I try to do now is, I'm not going to wish. I'm just going to go and take it now. Because if I want it so bad, I'm going to go after it. If I want this to really happen, I'm going to go after it. With all the other stuff that's going on, I know that it takes one piece for all the other pieces to fall into place. It's a big puzzle. And I'm putting it together. And I'm formulating a plan. And that's my plan of attack when it comes to these situations. If you guys liked the podcast today, I greatly appreciate it. It was as authentic, as honest as it could be. It's called the Not So Creative Podcast. On different apps, Spotify, Amazon Music, other platforms. I believe Google, Deezer, so on and so forth. Social media page, EDAPT LLC. That's on Instagram. It's mostly like my business stuff that I have there. I do have a YouTube. It's just, again, different avenue, different things that I do on there. This is my platform. At some point, I hope to do like a live feed of it. For now, this is the way I'm doing it. And when I do future episodes, whether it's music, whatever the case is, and I'm so sorry, I forgot, music helps me out a lot, actually. I do DJ stuff from the place I'm at, from home. And it is movement. And certain music, depending on it, helps me understand. And it gives me a feeling, too. So yeah, it depends on the music you listen to. Sometimes you may feel a certain way. So try best to pick something that will really get you moving, have you, move your, bop to the music, move to the music, whatever, walk, motivate you, push your workout to greater heights, all those things. And yeah, again, Not So Creative Podcast. This is E. I'm grateful for anybody who listens to it. If you got this far, I greatly appreciate it. Feedback is always welcome. And you can always go to as I said, my Instagram is probably the best place you can give me feedback for now. Again, it's EDAPT LLC. And thanks for listening. I hope all of you on your road in some way can find ways to get better and do better and improve. We're all in a very similar battle many times. Circumstances are no different. They're circumstances. What we feel is sometimes tough to overcome, but just as good as a good feeling can be, the bad feelings can be there, the negative ones can be there. We could tip the scale a little bit and do a momentum swing can happen, which can help out. Thank you again. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, night, wherever you guys are at. I'll see you next time.